This concerns us all. According to our temperament, we all have to handle the issue of worry, anxiety, preoccupation. In itself, preoccupation is just what it says, being occupied before, lest the unprepared happen. Not to have it is a fault, but it can go out of order and it can take over. The result is that we cannot be peaceful where we are in the present moment because we are anticipating the next, which never was, by the way. It's always been one moment, as long as time has ever been. This truth hit me one time years ago in the monastery in Italy, and at the end I'll pass over a little meditation I wrote on the secret, essentially, of life, as I saw it in that quiet moment of prayer. It's a simple trick which few of us seem really to have understood or mastered. It's this. It was something which, as a flash, hit me years earlier in France when listening to the retreat giver one year in France, in the monastery there. He just mentioned one word. You here in the contemplative life know what it is to recevoir, to receive. It's another mode. In practice, commanding time to be as it must be or else is a gross illusion. We're playing God. If we learn our truth, that we have come from nothing and therefore have no rights, but only gifts, then it's another mode of approaching life. It's the true mode. I receive. Indeed, one time, I remember the novice master in France putting it this way in a conference in the novitiate. Je me reçois de Dieu. I receive myself from God. It's total freedom. Now, do you see how that is fundamentally different from the attitude of the person who ruins his one chance in time because he doesn't live time? He lives a virtual time which must be. So what's going on? He will make sure that the time to be will be as beautiful as possible, as ecstatic as possible. John Lennon said once, life is what happened when one is planning the next thing. So I would share this, but I would ask you to think about it, because otherwise you'll fall back into the same mode, your comfort zone. Just in case it doesn't happen, I'll worry about it. As you open your eyes each morn, you are receiving the gift of a new day. Go through it without making it dense with unnecessary complication. One enemy of the peace of the moment is over-cluttering of that moment. We want to do many things in one moment, and indeed our life is too much, like Martha. Martha, Martha, you fuss and fret about many things. Is it not our case? Let's be honest. And actually, if one looks at how many people in the civilized world lose an awful lot of joy so as to plan joy, especially in the holiday period, it's almost ironic. They're anxious about making the holiday work well. And the more complex the holiday, the more anxious they are. Sometimes joy is very simple. because there's peace in it. Don't be so demanding on life. It has to be big things to give you joy. The joy, both spiritual, of being with our best friend before the tabernacle is one, but also the simple joy of being right next to a friend we like the company of. It's simple and it's good. We don't have to be doing all kinds of things all the time. But this is said to us in a wider context. It's that of trusting in providence. Now, it is true that we have power over events actually in prayer. The fervent, sincere, intense prayer of a Christian, especially when linked with certain powerful aids, for instance, the Rosary, said with great devotion, pulling hard on the Madonna, has power to change events. In Wales, every month, we used to have a Welsh Mass at Gelliladan, and we used to have, after it, the Word of Life. Chiara Lubick was still alive in those days, the Focolari movement. And we would share little stories and testimonies towards the end of the evening. And one came out one night. It was Harry, now dead. He had been, of course, in the war, a young man, and he thought he'd had it. They were dying of hunger. No one could find them. There was just no hope. He had only one bit of armour left, the Rosary. So he fired it. Nearly dying of hunger, he and the other in the troop bombarded Our Blessed Lady and wouldn't give in. The others thought he was mad. Let's just die in peace. He too was losing hope and energy and fading out. In the depth of night, as he still fingered his rosary, he heard in the distant sea a tiny, a small motor and a tiny lamp. A boat came out of nowhere. So he mustered all his energy to draw attention to them, and they came, and they were all saved. I was talking to somebody last week in a monastery in Holland. It was a priest who was telling me how another priest had great faith in the prayer of a child and would always want a child to take his intention, and it usually worked. This concerns you little people, so listen well and take it to heart. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I shall begin. Little Teresa, an Inuit girl from Hudson Bay, decided to spend the night with some of her relatives while her parents stayed in their own igloo. We're in here very chilly temperatures, Iceland. While Teresa's parents and their pagan neighbours were asleep, the fast ice on which their igloo was built fractured, and the floe was driven out into the open sea. By the time the people on the shore were woken up by the cracking of the ice, it was already too late. Now you have to pray really, really hard, Father Turketil, the missionary, told this distraught girl. No sooner said than done. Little Teresa rushed to the chapel to visit our Lord in the tabernacle and prayed, "Dear Lord, you have to save them." She meant business. When she returned, she was calm and told the priest, "All right, now my parents have to return. I told our Lord." Every day she prayed long and fervently, yet her parents did not return. 3 days passed, then 8 days, then 10, yet nothing happened. The good priest assumed that the parents must have perished, since they did not have any food with them. And after some time at sea, the ice was likely to crumble or melt away. After 3 weeks, the priest started to pray for her parents at Mass during the Memento of the Dead. But little Teresa was not easily discouraged and continued to pray. To the skeptics she said, "They have to come back, since I prayed to our Lord." After 4 weeks, her parents still had not returned, and everybody pitied the poor girl. Then, finally, on the 33rd day, a speck appeared on the horizon. All looked at it, dumbfounded. On a little floe with the igloo still on it, Teresa's parents were being driven towards the shore by the east wind. They had survived the entire time by eating the fish they had caught. Their pagan neighbours had drowned, but little Teresa's prayers had kept her parents' igloo afloat on the little floe of ice. I was talking to a priest friend one time, and he was telling me how in Lourdes some years ago there was a little child with great faith, a little lad, and he knew that by praying in faith, without doubt and hesitation, he would obtain. He went to Lourdes to get healing. He was on some kind of stretcher, and the bishop came round with the Blessed Sacrament and blessed the sick individually as he does, and he knew he was going to be healed. So he was intense, he had his eyes closed, and he was waiting for the healing. The Lord went by, and he was still on his stretcher. He hadn't been healed. So he looked at the Blessed Sacrament and said to the Lord in French, "Eh bien, puisque c'est comme ça, okay, if it's like that, j'en parle à ta mère, I'm going to talk to your mother about it." And he was taken down to the grotto and bombarded, and he was healed.
Recevoir. There is but one soul power within the soul of little man. There is alone, mid wrestling brains, one resting place, wherein the moment may be spent and fully known. There is but one small secret here on earth, by which the world is gained, by which the all of all that is may, for its truer worth, be measured and adored. One engine small, and 'tis the wand that taps upon the land of magic moments made, of seconds weighed, of other moments marred or let to stand upon the shore of possibles elate. 'Tis this, the little bliss of knowing how to touch, but such alone as need be now.